Hi and welcome to the Fishhead Creations podcast, where I pull out one of my interesting knitting projects every episode and talk you through the details. My name is Anna. You can find me on Ravelry as Obsti and on Instagram as Caledoniana, and I would be happy to hear from you. I'm sorry I had to skip podcasting last week, but my boyfriend was home all week and I didn't have a moment to myself, and I just cannot record and talk to a camera when I'm not home alone. And also he was just doing some noisy stuff all the time, and our flat is quite small, so I didn't get a quiet moment to record. But on the other hand, that means I have done some more knitting on a quite interesting project I'm working on right now, so we will talk about a work in progress for the first time this week actually. But just a side note, it's finally cooled down enough for me to wear knitwear again. This is my Winterfjell yoke by Skendi Knits, which probably everybody has seen because her podcast is quite a big deal, and this was her first garment design. It was quite a success. I actually knit two of these. This is my second one, which I actually knit to the gauge required in the pattern. The first one I didn't. I knitted at a quite a bit looser gauge. And this one is, well, at least as close to the gauge as I could get. We all know that gauge is not my strongest suit, but I can wear knitted jumpers again. It's cooled down. I actually can go outside wearing a jumper. It's quite warm wearing a jumper outside, but it's too cool without wearing one, which is one of the reasons I really want to finish the cardigan I'm working on. So let's talk about that one, shall we? It really started with this little chart I wrote down quite some time ago. I used it on a pair of socks, which is what I originally planned it for. And then I thought, these thistles are quite cool and I want to use them further. And as things happen, I kept thinking about it and dreaming about it, and I really wanted to put them on a garment. And since my runes jumper, which I talked about in the first episode, is my only other self-designed garment so far, I really wanted to put these thistles, which I came up with myself, on a whole garment, because I'm mainly a garment knitter. That's what I enjoy most, and I really wanted to start designing my own garments a bit. So this page was born. I posted a picture of it on Instagram and asked if someone would like to turn my stick figure donkeys and crocodiles, or whatever they might be, into actual knitting charts. But I'm afraid I still have to do that myself. These stick figures and donkeys, and crocodiles or Godzillas or whatever they are actually supposed to be a unicorn and a lion. So the plan was to knit a cardigan, but knit it in the round obviously because I hate purling, and then stick it in the front, and I wanted to knit it bottom up because that's just my preferred construction method, especially for yokes, because I prefer the look of decreases in the yoke part to the look of increases. This one is knit top down and has increases because I used a heavier weight yarn for the color work than I used as the main color. It really hides the increases, but in a slightly lighter yarn, the increases often produce holes that cannot be completely hidden. At least the way I knit them. Maybe I'm not as tidy as others, but I prefer the look of decreases, and by now I have knit so many bottom-up garments that I just know my measurements and know how long to knit the arms and the body to get a size I like. And so bottom-up was just my preferred method, so I decided to plan my design accordingly. And as I always do with bottom-up garments, I started with a sleeve. I got cut off mid-sentence there, so I don't really know exactly where I was, but I have two sleeves completed, both still on waste yarn because I still have to decide how many of the stitches to put aside for the underarm. I will just decide it when I have calculated my stitch pattern repeat and stitch count for when I join body and sleeves because I still haven't thought about that. But I started these sleeves bottom up. I decided to go with 2.5mm needles because I'm using mainly Holst yarn again, which is a very light fingering weight, and I wanted a nice dense fabric so it wouldn't be too see-through and still quite warm despite me using this light yarn. And it's really dense and nice, and even if I pull it you can barely see my hand through it, so it's a nice warm dense fabric, and this yarn will bloom when I wash it because it still has its spinning oil left in the yarn when you buy it. So I wanted to knit the whole garment on 2.5mm needles, so I started the cuffs on 2mm, and I started with 60 stitches because I wanted a nice tight cuff. And I usually knit my, until just recently I knit my socks on 64 stitches and 2.5mm in fingering weight yarns, and I decided that that was a nice size for around the wrists, but I wanted the cuffs really a lot tighter. So I knit them on 60 stitches on 2mm needles, and then after the ribbing I changed to 2.5mm and used them for the rest of the garment, which gives me, gauge problems again, around 30 to 32 stitches per 10 centimeters on the sleeves, which are knit on DPNs. On the body I'm getting closer to 28 stitches, which is also knit on 2.5mm but on a 80 centimeter circular needle instead of DPNs, which obviously give me a tighter gauge. So different gauges in body and sleeves, but that's fine actually because I wanted a nice warm dense sleeve, and I can live with a bit of positive ease in the body in a cardigan because it would stop the button band from gaping. So yeah, after the ribbing I changed to 2.5mm and increased to 70 stitches, then did the color work band with the little thistles, and then I started to just gradually increase the whole sleeve, as you can see, every 11 rows up the whole sleeve. So I ended up with, it was supposed to be 108 stitches, but it's actually 107 because somewhere around the middle I forgot one increase on the first sleeve and then just decided to mirror it in the second, because I don't think that one stitch will matter that much at this tight gauge. So yes, I have two sleeves. They are about 50 centimeters long or 51. I do not have that arms that are 51 centimeters long, but I want my my cuffs to go further down than on this one. I want them to be able to cover my hand up to here, and for that I need about 48 centimeters of a final length, and Holst tends to shrink lengthwise when you wash it. So I knit them a few centimeters longer than I actually want to have them, and if they stay this long I'll be fine as well because I really like long sleeves, and these well, these are okay, but I have jumpers where the sleeves are just a centimeter or two shorter, and that's just too short. It keeps annoying me. I pull them down all the time, and I really just want my hands covered. So long sleeves it is. Then I started on the body, which I'm working on right now. Same construction, 20 rows of ribbing, color work band, and then in this case not increasing for the sleeve but waist shaping. This is one side where I did it. I decreased 8 times every 6th round after the color work, and now I'm increasing again to get my stitch count that I had in the beginning, which is 300 stitches because I thought I was knitting at a 30 stitch gauge. Where was I? This body is supposed to be 300 stitches, but that's what I cast on, and that's what I'm going to end up again. Right now I have less stitches because I'm only just started increasing again after the waist decreases. This will give me some positive ease because I thought I was knitting at a 30 stitch gauge and my bust circumference is 100 centimeters, so I cast on 300 stitches to get a zero ease fit, because the button band will in the end make it wider anyway. and give me some more space in the front, because I need more space in the front than in the back, because bust. But turns out on a longer circular needle I'm thinking quite a bit looser, so I'm closer to 28 stitches, which is fine because it will just give me a little more ease in the bust area, which is okay because it will stop the button band from gaping in the front, and I'm quite fine with that. So I'm just going on with it. As I said, I just started increasing again after the waist decreases, so I'm a little over halfway down with it. Yeah, standard bottom-up construction. When I finish it, I will put the sleeves, I will put some stitches on both sides on hold for the underarms, join in the sleeves and continue knitting around the whole thing and decrease down for the yoke. I also have added 7 stitches. I didn't cast on 300 stitches, I cast on 308 because I needed 301 to make it a mirror image in the color work on both sides. And then I added 7 steek stitches, which you can only identify as something different in the ribbing because I knit them in plain stockinette, and in the color work because of the alternating colors. But they are here all the time. I will cut the front up the middle of these stitches, fold them over, attach a button band. Still standard construction for a steek cardigan. This is as far as I am, but I do have plans for the rest of it. Because what I was planning are another band of thistles, then a band of unicorns and lions, smaller thistles again, and then a bit of ribbing at the top in the main color. The lower band of thistles will be from this book. This is 150 Scandinavian Motifs by Mary Jane Mucklestone, and she has one motif in here, which I'm showing you on this side, the bottom one. Big thistles. I will only use one color for the top, only purple. Don't want to add any red or pink in it. But these big thistles I think fit in quite well with my little thistles, so I will add those as the lower band, and then my small thistles again for the upper band, and in between that something with lions and unicorns and probably thistles on the shoulders, because I want 2 unicorns here in the middle facing each other or facing the button band, and then next to them 2 lions also looking in the same direction, and then on the back the same. I will put something in the middle between the unicorns, but in the front there's the button band, so they don't just seem to be fencing each other with their horns or something. And I probably need something on the shoulders in between the back ends of both lions. The main problem with that is the color change. The background of the thistle bands both will be light again as they are on the bottom of the sleeve and the body, and the animals will be on black background. But I want the unicorns to be white or beige or whatever this color is, so light natural white, and I want the lions to be yellow or gold, which probably means I will have to experiment with either some kind of stranded knitting and intarsia mixture, or I will just break my yarn after each motif and split splice it, which is most likely because I will have some space or some longer floats between the animals, and I can hide a split spliced end in between those things. It will take a long time, it will be a labor of love, I'm not kidding myself. Doing it with split splicing in between each motif will take a long time. It will be a labor of love, I'm not kidding myself about that. But I think it will be worth it in the end. And maybe I'll do some duplicate stitching for a golden sparkly horn on the unicorns as well. We shall see, I haven't planned that far ahead. I know I will be basing the decreases on Elizabeth Zimmerman's method of yoke construction, but she only has it has to do 3 decrease rows around and decrease quite quickly. And as you can see, my shoulders, my arms go up straight and then straight in. So I have a very sharp angle here around my shoulder. So I want to decrease slowly up to here, which is probably about where the unicorns and lions will be done, and then start decreasing rapidly before and after the final thistle band. I hope to get a good fit out of that. We shall see. I have never done this, but I know that in this garment, for example, if you lay it flat, you have kind of a pyramid shape, which doesn't fit me that well because it rides up. Because it is wide enough here, but it's not wide enough here. So I want to start decreasing rapidly around here and not before. I will do some kind of decreasing earlier, but not too much. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm not too far into this project, but I'm quite excited about it because it's so much learning to do for the construction, and I really don't know how to do the charts. Well, I know how to do the charts technically, but I'm not good at drawing or anything, so we shall see where I can find a lion and a unicorn to adapt. But maybe I should look at cross-stitching patterns or something. I imagine there are quite a few of those. I don't know. We shall see, but I hope you thought it was interesting to follow my thought process on this. I will make sure to update you on the process and obviously show the finished garment. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be hopefully back next week again.